Hey students, it's Mr. Torres here. I just wanted to take a moment to discuss how to analyze syntax in any text, whether it's informational or literary, and looking at Omelas, okay? As we look at this short story, how those who walk away from Omelas, okay? So in your yellow pages, you have instructions for syntax that tell you to highlight the first 4 words of each sentence in yellow. Now, the reason that we're highlighting those 4 words in yellow is not because those 4 words have increased meaning, although it's possible that they might, but that's not what we're looking for here. The reason we're highlighting the first 4 words of each sentence is because we need a marker. We need something to show us where each sentence begins. And so that's what we're using the yellow highlighter for, okay? Now, once you have highlighted the first 4 words of each sentence, your paper should look something similar to mine here, okay? And so let's talk about what we are looking for as far as syntax, okay? So when you analyze syntax, we want to consider the following, and we always want to look for patterns, okay? Because when we're analyzing something like sentence structure, the presence of a pattern is going to give us a big hint or a big clue that this is important, okay? So when we analyze syntax, the first thing that we're going to be looking for is the length of sentences, okay? Are the sentences long, okay? Are they compound sentences? Are they complex sentences? Are they compound complex sentences? And if you don't know what those are, you might need to do a little bit of refreshing on what those are, because by this point you should know what those sentences are. And when you see those sentences, you want to ask, and if they are patterns of these sentences, then you want to ask, how does the length of these sentences serve the purpose of the story, okay? How does the author continually using long sentences serve the purpose of the story? Okay, so that's one thing that you want to be looking for, the length of sentences. The second thing you want to be looking for as far as length goes is, are they short? Are the sentences simple sentences? And again, if you don't know what a simple sentence is, just do a little bit of refreshing. And if you see a pattern of simple sentences, repetition of simple sentences, consecutive simple sentences, you want to ask yourself, how does the short sentence serve the purpose of the story? That is your analysis, okay? So lengths of sentences, all right? So whenever I'm looking at the lengths of sentences, that's what I'm making my yellow highlights for at the beginning of each sentence, okay? So if I look here and I kind of zoom out, because when you zoom out, you can really see length a little bit better, okay? So I'll see that in the first paragraph here that my sentences are, kind of medium length. But as I move into the second paragraph of the text, I start to get these longer sentences. My first sentence of the second paragraph starts here, and then it's another line or two until I get my next sentence, and then a little bit of a longer sentence, and then a little bit of a longer sentence. So I can see that in my second paragraph, I have some longer sentences, okay? And if I scroll through, I can see here in the third paragraph that I have 2 short sentences, and we'll talk about the types of sentences there in a moment. But then I go back to a little bit longer sentences. And if I move on, I can see I have some areas where I have pretty long sentences. I mean, this is all one sentence, and it encompasses 3.5 lines, okay? So I need to know what the author is saying in those sentences and how using a long sentence can serve the purpose of the story. That's what I am thinking about. That is what I am analyzing, okay? So let's go down to types of sentences, okay? So we talked about lengths of sentences. Now let's talk about types of sentences, all right? The 4 different types of sentences that an author can use are declarative, interrogative, also pronounced as interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory. A declarative sentence is just a statement of fact. That's all they're doing, is they're just stating facts. Okay, so when the narrator is speaking about Omelas, they should be stating a lot of facts. They telling us about this town. Okay, so when we're talking about the city of Omelas, we're going to see a lot of facts. All right, then there's interrogative sentences, questions, okay? These are denoted with a question mark. So when you see questions, that should serve a purpose. And if we scroll up and if we look at, I think the third paragraph, paragraph 3, we have a couple of questions here. There's not many questions in this story. So what does the short, simple sentence that is also a question, how does that serve the purpose of the text? We have a simple sentence here, joyous. It's kind of an implied simple sentence because it's really just one word, but we can understand that he's talking about the city being joyous, right? How is one to tell about joy? That is a question, and it's also a simple sentence. How is one to describe the citizens of Omelas? That is a question, and it's also a simple sentence. And we see them consecutively. So there is some meaning there, and we have to figure out what that meaning is, okay? So the next thing we're going to look at is imperative sentences, okay? These are commands or instructions. Occasionally, an author may tell you or tell another character to do something, okay? You can command or instruct somebody to do something with a period or an exclamation point, all right? Also, know that for reading and grammar, but also just know this for life, that the presence of the word please does not make something a question, does not necessarily make it a question. If there's not a question mark at the end of that sentence, then the presence of the word please is not a question. Somebody is not asking you to do something. They are telling you to do something. They're just telling you nicely, okay? So just make sure that you understand that. And then there's an exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentences are going to be interjections, okay? Like this. This is an interjection. Joyous! How is one to tell about joy? That is an interjection, okay? So that is an exclamatory sentence there, all right? And also emotional statements, okay? So if somebody's upset or very, very happy and they're sharing some emotional statements, then you will see that with an exclamation point, okay? So again, we always want to be asking ourselves, how do these types of sentences serve the purpose? How do these serve the purpose of the story? That is what we are looking for. Even these, how do these serve the purpose of the story? And so again, the reason we highlight in yellow is just so that we can have a physical indicator of the length of sentences, okay? It does not mean that the first 4 words of each sentence are important, although they may be. However, if they are important, then you're analyzing diction there and not syntax, okay? So just keep that in mind, all right? I hope this quick little tutorial kind of helped you. Be ready to come on Thursday with some questions to ask and some questions to answer. All right, can't wait to see y'all.